Shediac Chamber of Commerce, and I see Anis here. And they were present introducing us a new employee, so I understand it. I saw her like just going by, like so I didn't have a chance to introduce. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, it's a pleasure to introduce you a new addition to the Chamber, Rania Karanuko. I just want to make sure I pronounce this right because she only started at 8 o'clock this morning. So it's an addition to the Chamber, and we are very, very happy to have her in our team. And on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce, I would like to thank you for your support. You're always there for our chamber. We appreciate that you're present as at our 10th anniversary on May 10th. We're hoping to be another 10 years. On this note, I will ask Rania to tell you a few words. Good evening, Rania. Good evening, everyone. As Anne said, I just started this morning. My name is Rania Karamuto. Karamuko. I'm a recent graduate from University of Moncton in marketing. I got a marketing degree. I came to the region in the Moncton region in 2017 from the Ivory Coast, and I started my studies. And recently, I was done, and that's where I had the opportunity to work with the Chamber of Commerce. I had a few experiences in the region. I worked with Service New Brunswick, and I also have a sister in Moncton, and she owns an African restaurant. So we had the time to integrate in the community. And it's a real pleasure for me to join like the Chamber of Commerce for this new adventure. And it's a first experience as a graduate, and I would like to thank you for your time. Thank you very much. Welcome with us. There's one criteria that is to get used to the taste of lobster. Oh, I'm game. I'm game. Thanks. It's a pleasure, and we're happy to be with the Chamber of Commerce. We had a few individuals like they came into position, and they were always good experiences. And I have no doubt in my mind it will be another positive experience. Thank you. The next presentation, this is from Mrs. Angèle Lausier. She's from the CAFI. It's the it's a so I'll have the presentation. So I sent the presentation the previous. Can you hear me well? Yes, perfect. So, Mr. Mayor, thanks for welcoming me, Mr. Executive Director, councilors, to welcome me this evening. Angèle Lausier, I'm also not the new director for the CAFI, so I've been with CAFI like last August, so I will soon as it will be a year. I'm just coming from a nonprofit sector. Like I was working 15, 16 years. I was a director from the prevention of violence. So this evening I came to talk about the CAFI. So what I think, because it's been a while, like the CAFI hasn't met like with the municipal council. It's been a little while. The pandemic, of course, did not help. So the goal of this presentation is to do an update of who we are and all that. So if I switch here, so the CAFI, we are a welcoming center for the for immigration with the francophone. So we contribute like to the integration of new francophone newcomers through services with the integrate with social, economic, and cultural integration. So we have two offices, and the main office is at 140 Champlain Street. I don't know if you were aware, like the Moncton office moved to Dieppe last May, and we also have an office in Cap-Pelé. We serve also. You will hear in my presentation SBEC. It's an acronym like the. So when I came in, I said, "It's you like it's Shediac, Beaubassin East, and Cap-Pelé." So if you see in my presentation, this is the region. So the Cap-Pelé office serves like the Shediac office, Beaubassin East, and Cap-Pelé. So at the CAPI, we have 27 employees, and they work on programs in for all southeastern New Brunswick, and for our organization, we have a great cultural diversity. So we have 27 employees from 11 different countries, and we have 3 employees at the Capelé office. So the cafe has been in existence for 16 years. So the Capelé office, Chediac and Beaubassin, it has been there for 4 years. So we welcome close to 1,000 francophone newcomers or allophone newcomers in the region. We are the biggest francophone welcoming center in New Brunswick, and I learned also we are the biggest one in Atlantic, like for uh, for the francophone immigration. And we are a nonprofit organization, and we depend also on the support of the 274 volunteers for the implication in our program. So for the structure for organization, well, we have a board with with an executive director. So we have 4 teams. One team that takes care of the welcoming and also the establishment of newcomers. So one takes care of the families and youth and our francisation program, and one for culture and leisure program. So those 3 teams, complete administration team, they are at the DIEP office, at the Capelé office, to serve your region. Our 3 employees, they do pretty much of everything, the same as the DIEP office is doing. So we're responsible to welcome and establish a newcomer. So I will get into detail with the program. We're also responsible for families and youth program and francisation program, and also integration for newcomers for culture and leisure. We also offer like different trainings in the community, either like in school, businesses, in organization, and we have the mandate like to offer like multicultural training for the community in general. I thought maybe like to present what was like the funding for the office for the Chediac Beaubassin East and Capelé. For 2021, 2022, we had funding that was coming from opportunities and so only one source of funding, 135,000. So I mean, it's not like a big for funding for an organization. We have to rent some offices. Only 2 employees in 2021, 2022. Since my arrival on April 1st, we tried to get the possibility to add maybe 1 employee at the Capelé office, maybe just to better serve like the Chediac region. Because what we realized, of course, with the new offices, from what I understood, like the office was the Chediac region, and with because we move, it's very difficult for the newcomers, the Chediac area, to travel like even within Capelé, even more like to go to the Capelé offices. So with the funding opportunities, and we were able to increase the funding to 181,000 to hire a new employee, and she has the mandate to better serve like the region here, the Chediac region. Here I put a few pictures, and we see they're circulating very quickly. So here we're showing you like a picture, some photos of the programs and services in the region. So we have a tutoring program and a francisation program. So we see our youth in schools. We're also offering, I do not have the same presentation as you have, so that's why I'm wondering. These are the pictures like on top of a slide, so I apologize. I don't. So what you see finally, these are integration program for newcomers. These are a cooking class. So we invite individuals from various countries to present, to introduce their kitchen, and we also ask like the people from local community to share their culture like around food. These are photos from the Christmas activity. It's organized annually. Yeah, she has to click several times. So the Christmas party for our newcomers. Maybe just to give you like an overview of the programs and services offered in the offices in Chediac, Beaubassin East, and Capelier. As I mentioned earlier, we are welcoming establishment, so we meet the newcomers. We give them like information, essential services in the region. We also offer the discussion circle in French. Of a lot of newcomers coming here, they do not speak French, so we have some kind of a discussion, informal group to allow individual like to learn the language. These are not language courses, but it's one way like to integrate and to be learn some functional French. We're also organized like information workshop like on housing, income tax, a clinic, several type of information for newcomers. We also organize like the welcoming coffee, so they're all invited to go, like especially to get to know our organization and to establish a first contact with us. We also help also to find like housing. So it's the greatest challenges. So the challenges for finding housing for newcomers is a big challenge. We help them also with administration process, either like social insurance number to get like their Medicare card, like driver's license and insurance. So we will help like the newcomers. I will go more like with the youth. So for a youth program, we're offering like educational activities, sports activities, and cultural activity. We're also offering like a tutoring program and summer camp for our youth. So maybe what I would like to add, like the additional funding, as I mentioned, like we have a welcoming agent to serve the Shediac region. So what we'll be able to do, we didn't have before, we'll be able to offer like tutoring programs like for youth in the Shediac region. So we are very happy. We'll offer also like the conversation the circle, like just the information session. So we'll go like in the region to better serve like the welcoming serve. It will be held in the Shediac region. We all have our programs for new activities, for integration, for cultural and sportive integration for the youth and adults in the Shediac region. I don't know how much time I have, but I'm almost done. So as I mentioned earlier, like if you want to know what are the needs, like for the newcomers, I'm not saying anything new. Like transportation is a great need, like for people in the region, either in Capelle or Beaubassin East and in Shediac also, and housing also is a great need. Just a quick overview of the countries of origin. So people were established in the Shediac Beaubassin East and in majority Algeria, Brazil, Belgium, Cameroon, China, Colombia, Guatemala, Haiti, Jamaica, Filipino, and probably individuals you might have seen. And you saw also like the different languages from those countries. So maybe what I would like to know, I also like got like the statistic for 2021, 2022. They're not, so I still give you some data. Like in the Capelli region, we have 36 families we established, and we got 20 families that established in the Shediac region. Just to give you a quick overview. Following the pandemic, so I look at a comparison. Last year we had 68% that established in the Shediac region, Beaubassin East and Capelli. Last statistic, non-official, 91 individuals. So we had an increase following like the opening of the borders. If you want to get details on the number of permanent residents or the work visa, so that's data we can share with you too. So this is data you saw last year, like 68 individuals that were served. You have it here. So 55 were permanent residents. So the idea to think like people, they come with work visa. I was surprised. Like people come in with permanent. They get like their permanent residency. It's very positive. Like in terms of retention, people end up staying. I do not want to go into detail for the numbers of activity, but we saw like the activities that were done over the last year. So the goal of my presentation was only like to give you an overview. So where we at the cafe, I think we had to meet you, and since also we want to broaden the possibility to better serve the individuals in the Shediac region. It's really like to continue the discussion with the municipal council and also the community and the business community, so we can see what are the needs, how we can to make sure like those families can stay in the region. If you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. A few councillor Sylvie, thank you for it's nice presentation. If I knew, I was happy and to see that you have amongst your task the awareness for people to be to the people like us, like the welcoming community, and even like for businesses, because I was that's the question because someone saw something, they said, so people were working in our businesses. Do you know how to well serve like people from elsewhere in order to better welcome them? And I'm happy to see like is it something, maybe a question on the, is it something you do like on a regular basis, a repetition, like you remind the people that you have to be nice and sympathetic. Like since we only had like 2 employees like to serve the region, which is quite a big region. We're covering a big territory. It's the goal, like to get to add employees. And hearing you talk, like the funding, it's only from comes from ONB, but would have possibilities if the municipality or the community want to continue to work with the cafe to get some funding with the IRCC. So and I would really ready to collaborate. And if you have any, by adding resources, we could go even further to better serve the community. But of course, we have employees available and trained. It's a provincial training, so our employees have to be certified, like to go to businesses, to allow businesses to welcome the newcomers, and also the employees and local employees working with newcomers. So this is very important. So it's a multicultural information that allows to work together at communication. Yeah, to thank you very much. So it works well both ways. Councillor Paul, just a question. Bravo for to. I attended some activities. Do you have like a pipeline, like to say like where are our festivals, and not necessarily a direct line, but that's something we could start. Yeah. Another point also, like in the Bon Temps Guide, like just to make aware, like our citizen of all like the benefits you bring to the community. Mrs. Lausier and moi, we know each other through our experiences. So I know like I know like you'll be able to go forward. Like I had money at the RCC, and you know me. So if anything the municipality can do, like one way or the other, we're certainly interested. Thank you. We'll be in touch. Thank you very much. Have a good rest of the meeting. And now we have another presentation. The Southeast Regional Service Commission with Mr. Phil Robichaud. He's our planner. We'll discuss a few things, and I know like It's the height of the building, so I didn't have a chance to look at it, so I didn't have time to look. So I'm relying on your expertise. I think it's only like our first presentation. If that can open, okay. Good evening, council members. Today I will just do like the presentation like for the maximum height buildings like for the town of Shediac. And we had discussed like the possibility to have an R4 zone and just increase like the height in the other zones. Just to summarize like the goal of the presentation, well, it's following like a March 14 meeting when the council had mandated the staff just to assess like the bylaws on height. So and to give like a recommendation on the R4 creation of an R4 zone and maybe to look at the possibility to increase the height in other zones. This evening, I will just present my research and a few options following our research since then. I will start with a quick history to see why we are here today and why we want to increase like the maximum heights of building. Over the last 2 years, there was an increase in developing. The developers they want to develop and have higher buildings, higher density building, and each are represent like a summary of all the requests we had over the last couple of years, just to show you like where the development are and the mechanism we use to allow like higher buildings. So I will start with the red start. It was on Bow Bridge. It was three development of 21 meters and 5 stories, so 95 unit, and that height was approved through a rezoning. So the council was able to decide like the maximum height because with a rezoning, and the west side like so there is a development of three buildings like 30 meters, 127 units per story, and the developer had to apply for variance because the increase was twice like what's allowed in the zoning bylaw. So the yellow star is the river star 19 meters. It's close like a 5 story and 50 units per. The council accept in the rezoning context, and there are two buildings. It's a new street called Veranda, and it's off Greenwood. 5 and 6 stories. So those two buildings were approved through a variance. And there's one also on St. Anne Street that was developed 20 meters, 6 story in the central commercial zone, was adopted without variance. McQueen also without 4 meters, and the one on Greenwood, 39 units, and it's not being built yet, so was adopted without any variance. It's just to show like the maximum heights in the town of Shediac, and maybe just like to show to a visual what it look like in lower density zone between 9 to 11 meters. So it's maybe it's one, 2, 3, 4. And what they would like to modify, it's the R3 zone, like the high density, the one for leisure services, institutional that allow like residential use it, and the general commercial when it's on top of the first story. And so R3, so these two of them are 4 story or 15 meters that are allowed. And I will give you an idea. So the new building at Veranta is like 15 meters and 16 meters, so just a meter higher. So we have also the Chateau Shediac, like at look at the highest point is higher than 15 meters. So what I noticed like is 13 meters and 20 meters is a. And 20 meters, well, it's a good example. So the Shediac Hotel, it's 20 meters. Just to give you an example. So what we notice, like all the zone that allow like a high, bigger height, are either like in downtown Chediac or close to Main Street. So what we are seeing in our three zones, there are often also zones with a lot of existing single-family dwellings. Let's say like the west zone, it's a general commerce, and we saw like the south and the north. So we see more like a mixture of different housing, and there's a trend also to develop multifamily unit, but there are still some houses in that area south of downtown. Well, this is in the south in artery zone, like so we had a few developments close to downtown. So at the corner of Cheslin, when Winter and the Blanc Street is this our zone like R3. So it's mostly almost only single family housing, even if the zoning allows like for higher density. The same at North and Main Street. It's mostly a single family dwelling. And the other group, like for the R3 zone, is the East Main Street, and it's close like to downtown. And there's a lot of also of single family. We saw some all along like Greenwood. There's still a lot of a multifamily unit. To conclude, like the two extremities of R3 zone, they seem to have a higher density, and at the south and north of downtown Chediac, but it seems to be mostly single family houses. And also general commercial zone like allows 15 meters and like a higher density, and the gray zone like for leisure services allows higher density up to 15 meters in the general commercial sector. So if you have a building, you could do the same like that downtown, as long as the first story is commercial and then the rest could be residential. If the building is not on Main Street, you do not have to have like the first story does have to be a commercial. So at the veranda, like somewhere in the general commercial, because they were not on Main Street, they did not have like to have anything commercial or not. Thank you. And also I just have a comparison. It seems to be like a three-dimensional model. We see like the town hall and Chesley Street. It shows like the height of the buildings today. And the next slide will be seems to be extreme, but the goal with this is to show like if all the properties were developed to their full capacity, which is not a problem. It see what it could look like, and the comparison between the two. So we see like downtown, like there's no setback. It's the whole land occupation. It's a little bit extreme. Like we see, like it's a very high density that's allowed, and then we have it Chesley, Winter, and LeBlanc Street. So an R3 that allows higher density. So this is a close-up of the Winter Street. The reason I'm using this is because it's a one-story home, and it's to show the difference of what's being built today and what's allowed today. Very unlikely, like it would be built like this, and they could maybe buy several lots, and they would not build it at 100%, but the bylaws would allow like this density on the lot without any variance. Now I would like to present the option. I present also like the context, like where we are today with those regulations. So I will divide them in two different sections. I will be talking in the R4 zone first, and then I will talk of increasing the height generally. So there are two options that were identified in the R4 zone. The first one, not to adopt it and leave the regulation as is, but the person we recommend to do like 2A to adopt like the zone R4, and the R4 zone has the goal like to give a tool, a mechanism for the developer to apply for higher density projects that are higher than what's allowed by the bylaw. And it's what it's allowed to do is to assess the project in a context that is asking for rezoning. We really want to assess and see if the project makes sense for the property, and also to add condition, reduce the impact. So we have more control. So what we're proposing is a similar zone like in R3 zones, that all the setbacks and the parking standards would be similar. So the maximum, it could be up to a maximum of 30 meters. So we would go case by case. We would look if that height makes sense for the property. And we're also recommending to add the principle in the municipal plan to help us guide what we should be looking for when it comes to requests of this magnitude. So the principle here would be it's only a draft, so it could be that the project goes well with the neighborhood, and that the project should be of a higher quality, a higher architectural quality, and they're proposing some minimum standards in the bylaw, and that the project is at the area where the infrastructure, the municipal infrastructure, can accept it, just to assess the impact. And even the impact on the traffic and water system. So the impact has to be assessed if a building is very high or very close to a house, just to check how the shadow will have an impact on the neighboring property, and also assess impacts on the environment, and make sure the project transition well with the existing zoning, not to go from a zone in low density to a high density zone. So what do you mean high quality architectural? I mean it's not low quality. So what does it represent? So we mean more windows maybe than the standard. It would be so you could have a jog different certain standards. Sometimes they recommend to improve the architectural quality of a building. So in Shediac, there's not a whole lot of this, so it would be maybe just to focus on those things. So the building seems to be nicer looking if it's high. And also they are proposing if it's a very high building, usually it's not right to have straight walls and heights. It's need to have a pedestal and a basis, and on your basis you can go a little bit higher, and it helps. So it's kind of what we are saying. So it gives us an idea. Now I will present the options of to increase the height in the bylaws. So the option one would be to keep the bylaws as is. So that's of the staff, that's what the option we recommend, but we are still offered two option if the council decides to increase the height. And the other one, the option two, would be to increase the height in a general commercial and collective services zone to going from 15 meters to 18 meters. It would be the equivalent of a 5-story. So it would be to increase the density on Main Street and the collective service that where you have a higher density than residential areas, without being higher than downtown. So the goal and the way the municipal plan is to have higher density and the biggest higher buildings downtown. Option number three is to increase the height in the two zone I mentioned before, and also in R3 zone to go to 15 meters to 18 meters. It would be a 5-story. So, and if the story decides to go with that option, well, we would also recommend to add a requirement that if a R3 zone adjacent to R2 or R1, there would be a buffer zone for lower density buildings. So if a building of 15 meters that would be close to a R1 zone, it would have to be 10 meters from the property. Usually it's 3 feet. And so that's what's required. It would be. So that would be the distance. And another modification we are recommending, it's in zone R3. today, it requires like for the roof to have a slope. We're not sure like what are the exact intent of this regulation bylaw, but the more modern design seems to be like a flat roofs. So we would ask to remove that requirement for for the roof. For future development, they would not have to apply like for variances to have a flat roof, because that's what we see in, because most of developers are asking like for flat roof, and they're always adopted. So it would be another modification we proposing from like the R3 zone is the only zone without that does not allow like a flat roof. You can do it in R2, R1, general commercial or certain commercial, eh, all over except the R3. Like on Centennial, there's 6 units that were built like a 3-story R2, and it's a flat roof, and they did not need like a variance. So you're right, like R3 is the only zone. And in terms of process, well, if you want to pursue with R4, like modification to the bylaw and the municipal plan to add the principle, this is a PRAC recommendation and a public presentation and a public audience and 3 readings. If it's only like the modifications to the bylaw and not zone R4, it would be only like a bylaw modification, so there would be no public presentation. So this summarize my presentation and my recommendation. If you have any questions, I will take them gladly. Thanks, Mr. Robichaud. Councillor Paul. Yes, if you are referring to municipal service like water and sewer services. So Danny, so you're talking to a potential development, like you see what people want. So are you comfortable with this? It's very well done, very good presentation. Because Danny is talking with the developers and bringing development. Is it to put? Is it something that will be will it limit in some area? First, I think they did their research. They did the right work, so they mandated like the commission to bring you something, and you asked like the commission to look to remove maybe flat roof and make sure they could be there. So a lot of things were needed, like variants. And when we're doing some development, it's always the process of step that help the developer like to go faster with the flat files. So the heights in the zone R3, well, certainly like we're making recommendations, and it's something we could address. So my personal question, well, I cannot give you like an opinion on this item in terms of height. So bring us like something, and it would be something to look at then. And I think we had tabled this that evening, like to go close to 20 meters. And I think what's the 10 meters and up, like, I understand it makes sense, but to have setbacks that are different in terms of height. So my concern here for this request we have now, if you look like in the stars you put, we had several requests for 5, 6. Then we touch at 19 and 20 with the bylaw modification. Well, on what they will ask. I'm not convinced like it will make this part lighter, but we have some places. But it would be nice to have the PRAC committee to do this. We wouldn't want to have like 20 meters. It would be. It's only like the way to analyze it. So I'm asking the question like the developer what he wants. He will ask to he wants to build something that becomes profitable. So we need to if they establish here, and with the cost of housing, so it creates also like more people in the community. For R4, well, we do not have make it lighter, like we have an R4 zone. And you have your 3 breeding. According to me, like we wouldn't have solved like all the rules for the developers. I think I would be looking at this I think we want more to have like a zone that, and even create a zone R4, like to go to 25 meters or 30 meters, and to do a rezoning request to allow this. Well, and I think the process is basically the same according to my experience. So I'm not a planner, but I will not take position either. But everyone has their own field of expertise. But according to me, if you look at the R4 zone, if you're not ready, like to put like some rules and do not play the game, like let them go through the process. Some will do them and some will not. So so we have to find other municipalities. So I would ask for the revision review committee. It's to solve this. So I don't know if the board agrees. Do you see any a solution? I think like the PRAC committee wanted to discuss because we get variance often, and the committee is looking at some recommendations of the commission and some other components around this. And of course, if the recommendation, like the commission will not recommend yes, maybe it's only a little bit, but there are some guidelines to follow for the variance, and it's important. Yes. But if I put my counselor hat and not a PRAC member, it's really important. But I think the decision have to be taken considering like the citizen who will stay behind this. We discussed like on Chesley, like it's high, but now we are asking like to have higher buildings all over. So I think we have to look the citizens' perspective, and to me it was always important. Like the renter, I understand Danny, like the developers, the higher they can get, the better, and the more profitable the project, the better. I think we have to look at the two. So, and in our discussion we had uh, a few weeks ago, if it's something you had explained it real well, there's less uncertainties. That it's clear. Here you can go to 20, 15 meters, and elsewhere you can have a higher buildings. It's just to avoid like the request. Can I build it there, and there will be a yes, yes, no, no, and you have no idea why. And if it can be clear what are the rules are, it's good for everyone. It's good for the citizen and the developers. So that's the way I see it, and I'm saying that's where we have to find a happy middle, what is good for the citizen and the developer. There's always one. If we increase like 10 meters, like the citizen will not be happy, but if we denied, the developer won't be happy. So this is our job, and I agree with setbacks, and 10 meters might seem a lot, but to me it's not enough, like 10 meters, especially for to R1 to R3, to 6 and 7 stories. So I don't think it's very much. Like 10 meters, like a setback, it's not a lot. In my opinion, I wouldn't want to be like the 10 meters, like between my property and a building with 4 to 5 stories. So the minimum is 1.5. 10, it's more than 1.5. Maybe we should. I I'm aware it's more, but it should be more. Councillor Janice, if I remember well, we had this discussion a while back, like when the project did not go through like the variance, we got we some money and like taxes that came in, and I think there seemed to be like a happy medium. I'm for money to get in town, but I'm also for to create a nice town at the end of the day, and the citizens are very important. They're not the money we can change by changing modification. From what I would like to see, like, is try to isolate some regions where the impact will be lower, so we can bring developers who want to build higher, but really like to focus some regions and focus, and then the rest keep it as is. But it's more to know, is it to the town's extremities would be right places? I'm not an expert in this, so Councillor Paul, just to give you like a question, let's say you had this document with the recommendations with R4. Would it have made a difference, like with the request we had the last couple of years? Would it have been better or equal, the same controversy? Or? It's a good question, Councillor Boudreau. So the request we had, they pretty much went all to the price because everything asked like for variance. To say like I have other requests that did not go anywhere, no, I haven't. However, like we have a discussion with other developers, and it would be different for some projects, some specific area. So I thought that would come out of this. Maybe we're not clear, like is to identify maybe some region, Westboro or Eastboro of the town's east or Westboro, Ohio Street, or I don't know, but the rules could be different, put in place. So these were like the primary questions in Marford. Today we have an R4 zone. If we want to make an amendment to the municipal plan, and we still have the process like to do 3 reading. I don't think it changed more than they keep the R3. However, there's good thing on recommendations. Like the developers would be happy, and possibly like the 18 meters, because if we look at all the variances, often it's 16, 19. I think there would be one that would have gone through. So with the 18 meters of variance, if you look at the list, like you have 21 meters, 19 meters, 16 meters. So we seem to be, do you know what we want? We do not know where we want it. Yeah, I think you picked up. I think we'll need someone to look at, to think outside the box, really to do an analysis long term and see like where those zones would be best suited. So that was like the objective. We're not in a perfect world. I will give you 2 examples, like the council. We're getting not to have the right, like Monique Street, like rural housing. We allowed, I think, up to 6 units, and it created a lot of frustration with the residents who had a single family dwelling. You would have liked to have the opportunity to have your say. The Bow Bridge R3, so have the opportunity to do some modification that please the people from Coronation Court. So people had their say, and while also meeting the needs of the citizen. What's being proposed today, like it gives you the option. Is it new, like Danny can confirm, yes, we have some discussion with the developer, but it's not from 5-10 years ago. It's brand new. So the option presented here is an option that allows the council to have their say on the developer. If you are imposing some region, but it's not what we want, so then they might pay for it become like a lot becomes like more commercial. Like there's a lot of pros and cons, and for R4 zoning, but as Danny said, well, yes, it's not a process that will be quicker, but it's a process at least the council will have their word to say. If I can add, I think the idea for R4 comes from a specific project. So what unfortunately, like with this project, we did not even have the option to offer like to the developer. So the other option was to amend the plan, like to add the R4 zone. Because right now, zone R3 and in the R3 zone is limited to this height. So with the new zone, well, it was not like the perfect solution, but was a quick fix to meet like the request we have to do, today without completely redoing the plan. So with areas where they're already identified. So we have they were already identified the high density zone. I listed like the challenges with the R3 zone, and with R4 like the zone, if a property makes sense like to have maybe a little bit of height, we could assess like in conditions with principle that will help us to guide to see really if it's good for the development. So that's why proposing R4. At least there's analysis can be done, and there's still the thing that's helped guide us that makes sense. Like one example, like is it right besides like a R3 zone? If it's beside, well, and the plan there's policies and principles, and it divides like the municipalities and boroughs, and it becomes a little bit more West Borough, and it says like a town entrance, and there's a mix of uses like between residential, and that's a good idea for higher density. So if we use those principles just to justify that maybe the West Borough, like it might be a good spot for R4 zone. So it's not something that's random to guide like if it's a good spot for a project or not. But it's true, like there's no guarantee, and I recognize like some developers did not feel good like for the fact it's not a guarantee and it's a political decision that left to the council. Councilor Janiste and Councilor Paul. Yes, I'm not comfortable like to vote on something like that because there might be one project we did not get. I want to see, yes, in the future we have this region and we can invite also like the developer and to see like here what we have, and if we want to go in those zones, that's okay. To go to the park, and I know also we can put criteria, and then we're also in. So some will go through, some will not. So we'll still have some stuff like that will be placed randomly and anywhere. So that's what I do not like as much. There's a lot of variables, and depending on the variance, I don't know. Like, I would like to get something like here are the regions. The developers you want to do like 8 or 9 regions, and that's where you can do it. So then we have some kind of control, and always take a decision based on specific projects. Thanks, Janice. We'll not take any decision this evening, but because of plenary, but it might be also something we need like to get more discussion. Just a number like reform 2023, we'll have to do it again. This plan and the bylaw, it's specific to the town of Shediac. The other regions, they have other plans or a rural plan, and it will not change over the next couple of years. So to make sure everything's integrated, but for as of 2023, what you are approving is for this. So if someone wants to be a 7-story in Shediac Cape next spring, can they? Shediac Cape, like it's 11 meters the maximum height. Yes, they do have restrictions. They each have the all rural plan instead of municipal plan because there's several conditions. They have bylaws for them, zoning bylaws. So if I understand like the difference between the two, Mr. The rural plan in general is not as complex as a municipal plan. In general, there's less detail. It's essentially the same as the zoning bylaw, but it's as if you could put like the municipal plan and the municipal bylaw. It's essentially the same. What would be the changes to the municipal plan? Without change, like every time we have a request. So is it a true boroughs or the municipal plan is only to change it once, like to add the principle I presented today? That would guide them for recommendations on projects that would ask for the zone. So once the municipal plan would be modified, the municipal plan wouldn't have to be modified for the developers. We want to use a zone R4. They only need like a rezoning request in the existing area because there is an industrial zone in the municipal plan. But there's no land that is zoned industrial because there's not really any industries. So once we have Skoduk, so they have their own things. So we have an industrial park in our limits. Well, we would have this zone, but we do not. We never even had to apply this. So for the next step, if it's the wish of the board, the council, I think the next probably discussions. So maybe the commission could help us like to maybe get shed some light on question. Maybe like the planning committee, Councillor Peter. Yes, on this note, I agree with the Councillor Comey. We do not want to build something where people would not be happy like to have in their own backyard, but we still have to give ourselves some flexibility for growth that we do not know yet. Like who would have tell like 2 years ago where we are? So we have to be careful, like for the plan not to be too strict that we cannot react. So we know it takes a while. Like if we have to ask the municipal plan, we need the variances, and it can take a long time. So. And we know that things could change in the next few years. So we have to be careful not to have a plan that is too strict, that limits us to things like that. So this is my concern. Thanks, Peter. Thank you very much, Mr. Robichaud. This is part one. Two other parts with Mr. Robichaud. So zoning modification for Greenwood Street. Well, Greenwood, okay. Greenwood and Maple also that we wanted to do. So Greenwood is a request you had. I did not send the report yet, so no. So it's a good thing. One less. And for the Maple Lane closing, Maple Lane, well, I wanted to have discussion because we have to close a section of the street. Was it your file? I think it was Jeff's file, but I'm aware of the file. Like, if you want to discuss, I have no presentation with me, so go ahead. Is it possible, like, to do? I think the developer would need a decision quite quickly. We want to summarize the file, maybe just quickly, like maybe to close like a part of Maple Lane. It's where like the big buildings that's being built on Saint-Anne Street, so they need like to close a street section for parking and accommodate the development. So they already had their permits. So Maple and Google seems to be like the private entrance on the Maritime Fishermen Unit. So the reason I know I lived there for a while, several years ago. It's a public street, but it's a dirt road. There's only one house. It only serves one residence. No, it does not connect anymore. I know, like Mark worked with the file and Donald and the firefighters, so they did a lot of work. So the developer did not submitted the request. So they were waiting for confirmation from the power. I think it was the last part that I think was five. It's a 5 meter was so can only give a 2 3 minute fill just to summarize it for the council because of the request comment. So the property here, the one I highlighted, is the property where there is development that is in construction right now, and right at the back, the section here, they want to build their parking lot, and the challenge is the municipal street, Maple Lane, goes through like where we want to do the parking. Yes, we have the Maple Lane does not serve any properties, and the request would be to close part of Maple Street and essentially give a part of the street to the developer. So we wouldn't have like a public street. So it was part of their property. If I'm not mistaken, well, it's only like the owner at the 21 Maple Lane that uses it, and also Greenhouse on Main, which restaurant that using the Maple Lane. I think, yeah. So it would be 3 readings and the same as you did for Chesley Street. To let go like a part of a street with a dirt road and not used by anyone. So we can give you some kind of servitude because we have municipal services that are there. So they'll give us like an easement so for the Water and Sewer Commission can maintain the services for those duplex. Two questions. One of Councillor Janice. Where is that line like 4.25? And it's also like the land for the owner. It's the same one. There was a house a long time ago. A street like this, it's not like the street do not belong. Does not necessarily belong. It's like for the owner. Like the street belongs to the town. It's the same as we're doing to Christian Court. So I'm eager also to learn easement because there are some pipes underneath. So that's why like so however how long or wide this is, so we let it go. It does not belong to the town anymore. It belongs to the owner. So the developer will do the surveying. So there would be some cost, but the plan you will see at the meeting will show like the plan is already made. So it was surveyed and like the show will exchange also a parcel of land. So it's not the first time we have it. We did it elsewhere. It's not. We did it like a few times. We did on top of the Chesley and a different street. And it was not an exchange. It's a provincial street that aims to allow some development. So it's just to make sure, like if it's something that is common, something that we can do, it doesn't create any precedent because no cost. The owner does it, so it's different. Yes. I have the deputy mayor since you have water and sewer. So let's say like one day we have to go on that land and it's paved and we have to cut this pave. It's asphalt, so we will have to repair all of this. That's why we want an easement, and it's like it would be a good question, like for the asphalt, like. Typically, yes, we would need like to put it in the same state. If it was not, we would put it back, fix the law. Would it possible like to have an agreement if we have to go and he's responsible like to repair like his own parking lot? That's something we could add if we give them the land, and I don't think there's an agreement right now. It's only a suggestion. Maybe that's not something that's being done, but if we do not ask the question, well, will it limit fill the accessibility for emergency vehicles if we are blocking streets or closing some street? We brought like the fire chief on site by closing those streets, and the fire chief didn't see any problem, and you could ask him the question at the next meeting to get his advice on this. Thank you very much. So it gives us like an idea. So that's all, Mr. Rabichaud. Next item is follow-up discussion on the 10-year plan. So we have our very long sheets as we had them. So with the long sheet, long sheets and small numbers. I'll give you a couple of minutes, like just to situate yourself. I know we went through like what's supposed to be forecasted for 2022. We had adopted it and already mandated to get some estimations and options for Evergreen. So we had some complication, like citizen. I did not understand. I thought it was stable, but Councillor Paul, I could start. I don't know if it's how you work. Just a couple of questions. I don't remember where we were at, like where we stopped the last time. So the Four Season Park, like 300,000 in 2022. What is it for? First one, it was to purchase a piece of land. It was a presentation from Rotary, so it might be something else. But at first, it was purchase a land. You can remove it if you want. That's it. So yeah, it was. And the thing for we're still broadcasting for the marina. We saw the 3-4 items at 402,200, like for phase one, like a centennial, and 198,000 in the water budget, 65,000, and so before we go further, I know Mark, you're working hard, like to get some details on those projects. And Janice, I congratulate to. Could we get like some details, like what we will do for 765,000 to the marina? Because to go forward, it's in your report you're saying like there's a condition at the end of Mark's conference. There was a meeting like that was held, and we got the complete design. And we're working on detail. We should have something for you on Monday. And Monday we'll have more details on the cost. And there's also a preliminary agreement. It's not something we'll adopt on Monday the 13th. But we have some. We'll have more details next Monday, so we will have something there. Councillor Cormier, I think. Could we have something like dissected, because there's the street, several things we mentioned. Could we dissected this project so we can see when this money is? See, like like the plan there, like if we can divide it, that we includes all the parts. So, but the 402, like let's say we discuss it a lot to see what since it's more than a street. It would be another street, but a well-done street. We knew what we were doing. Like I think the council will be in a better position. We could not do it with the but the design is not finalized, so it was to do the limit of the property, and was a concept also like to look at the distance of the turnaround and the parking line. So the design seems to be going well. Now we're getting into technicalities. It will not affect the concept that is required for the agreement. So if you need like an estimation to get like I'll try to get more details on this. You have like the design street. I would like to. What is the cost for the street? Like the cost to add some parking? Because the way to take the street, I don't think it's the cost. I think it's all the little bits and pieces with the project. If we could say, yeah. Thank you, Janice. If you're asking, bring it here. You will spend $750,000 on the parking lot for who? I cannot answer this question, but it's a street, but technically it's a wharf. So we can take an informed decision for a project like this one. So that's a concern I would have for. Yes, if it's around above in a wharf, so we will have some numbers for each part. Just another one. Go ahead, Paul. The playgrounds. I don't know if it was there like for 500,000 eventually. Like I would like to see like a consultation with the public. We only have like three playgrounds, Austin Leblanc and Centennial. Like it's another park. Also, I think we could do really well with 500,000. If you were to spread it, maybe 200,000 for a year, I'm proud. But I would like also to see people with the region are consulted. It was a suggestion, and Mark took note of this. They mentioned we wanted more like a playground, so we suggested to install one in 2023. So location to be determined. A recommendation to have more parks in municipalities. So Mark added it today. How could we get to a number of $500,000? Just an average what we saw with the pieces of equipment. So we were in a land that already belongs. So is it accessible or not? So we could change the prices. So it's a beginning of a discussion. I think it was 2023, like a playground. Line number 26. Just one last question. So line 18. Marc or Gilles, the phase two, like 500,000. We're doing this summer, so it's already part of the funding that was approved last year. It's because like they were in easement, so we got a low blow easement, so then we can continue. So that the stormwater, so from the Sebastien Street. So you had approved like 3 million. So the rest for the major drain would be done, but with just the. So we'll continue like for the storm because the province brought funding. So the corridor like for the major drain will be done by the end of 2024. So the last two ones I would like to see if it was discussed is the fire department, fire station, and yes, it's a good document. Thank you very much, and I'm happy with that. That's all. Councillor TV, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A question just out of we mentioned also the Sebastian Street. Yes, with the major rain, like there were no like damages, like it was. And in rain, I was just curious, like to see. I wanted to go for a drive, but I did not go. Like no comments, no, no. That's okay. I would like also to bring a few. I would like to, especially like for Sebastian Street, like I would like to do like the same study that we did at the Sebastian Street. I would like to do it like the eastern part of the city where Monique Street, La Forêt Street is. All those development like going on Route 15, it's all going to the bay. I think like the Main Street is the next part on Main Street that will be replaced. So these are like old drains. So we would like to have an idea like for the size of the culvert and so we are ready, and there is the culvert like on the trail between Dunal and and also like it has to be changed. It's not in a good state to know like the type the pipe. We need like a study like in this sector, and you have Greenwood and all the development. So it's really like it's becoming a sector that was developed. So we wanted to in 2020. I would like to do the study next 2023. So I added it. No, that's the replacement. So I added like so I added those items and also like the other thing is preliminary. You might say like 2023. Well, we will come and so I will do the exercise with Lynn and especially like the things that are a little bit more especially like the council could have a word on because I announced like the well number 12 was approved by the province, the one from Bellevue. So they're giving us like the go so we could finalize like our plans and we'll go like in tender and get the estimates. So we had estimation, and with COVID, well, I don't know like where those numbers. So we'll try to freshen them up, and the Bow Bridge with between La Forest Street and Ohio Street. I put it here, and I use it like I put it as a new project because these are new infrastructures, but so I added in 2024 and 2026. So I put it like 3 times, and we just have to say like the first phase one of Bober Street between Bellevue. There's this little part street missing, but we have to do redo Bellevue Street until Main Street. So it has to be done all together. So it's part of the master plan. Because once it's done on Bellevue Street, it has to be done. We would add the sidewalk. So that's why I added like the Bellevue in 2020 to 2024. It's just to give you an idea. So if you want things to go forward, so which item? Item 50. Because these are municipal streets. So that's the second page. So for 2022, the projects have been established. 2020, we're looking at phase 2, Pleasant Street, phase 2. So it will be a main to Bow Bridge. So 2023, that's what I have. So one street I added. So I refer to the last 5-year plan from winter. It was supposed to be done in 2023. So we have 2 major streets to do. So, but the Windsor Street, our infrastructure, they're really not in a good shape. But I think it could be pushed back like a couple of years. I don't think 1 year will make a difference. So one main street to do. And also like with the Water and Sewer Commission, for them, it's very important for them like the Hamilton and Shore Street. I put all of them like in 2024, 2026. So these are the priorities, and you can bump them as you wish if you see a difference, but they're all important. I have a question. For Beaubridge, La Forêt, and to Bellevue, essentially, like it already belonged to municipality. The well will be on that piece of land. So we would do this part, and then also the one to go back on Main Street. And for Bellevue and Main Street, I see 1.6 million. So so it only goes up to Bellevue Street, which is it has to be done. I think it will be good, but it does not help for the circulation. Circulation will be helped, like we go from Bellevue Street up to Ohio. So I can see it like in the following years. Unless we wanted to say, is it too much work, like to do all at once? It was more maybe to separate, like the amount of money. If you want to do it like 3 years instead of two, let's do like the same. Unless it's too difficult, especially like for the citizen, like we live on Bellevue Street. It's one of the reasons why we are doing like the Centennial and the Pleasant Street or on 2 years. Yes, it will be in construction zone. At least it will be. So I'm wondering over a 2 years period it might be reasonable, but then it's open and that's over. I wouldn't want like to do another part. No, it's not. Do it like to connect like the two of them. And Paul had asked, when you're referring to funding and the Water and Sewer Commission, so how do they calculate like for those three streets, Hamilton, and so they do it everywhere, like so when they do like this, they change their system. How is it calculated? Because all the work they do, so we are just demolishing it, and just to find like the fault of inadequate systems. How was it calculated? Each street. So that's why we're trying to do them jointly. So when we do like a street completely, we get estimation like for water, like the storm and the sewer, and we send it back to the Water and Sewer Commission. So do they pay for to repair? If it's only like for restoration, if we transfer for the storm and the sewer pipe is beside, well, the town will pay that, so to redo it. And another thing also, so for the street, I was saying Shore and Calder. So these are their priorities according to the maybe the state of their pipe. Even if the street is old, maybe their surface is so, but the pipe maybe underneath might still be good. So it will not be on the top of their priorities, but could be on top of our priority. But in general, once our streets are old, they're old. Usually correlates. So here, I have heard the back also, like for the trail, like going on 15th Street. Can we to put some money, maybe increase it, pave it, or it was a problem when I was there, and it seems to be going on and on and on. And so this year, well, what we did some damage control. We didn't have like the money, but the intent is to bring like an engineering company to see what we can do, like to improve. Could we add it like to a budget? We do not know yet, but once we know, we will be able to add it. But we're planning to keep like what's happening with the water, because it's yeah. because I stopped Patricia for a beer and it was slow. So they only have a license for ice cream, I think. When it will be solved, will mandate mandate like a company to assess what the problem is, and we'll do like the cost. And if the costs are reasonable, well, we can include it for the next year if there is some money left. Thank you, Paul. Councilor Patricia, thank you. Paul mentioned like three items: the arena, the fire station, and fire truck. And we had the discussion the last time, like when talked about the 10-year plan to know like if we do a renovation for arena, if it was a bigger projects and it's already like in projects like in 2023 budget. And the fire station, like aren't we hiring like a consultant to work 2023? It's close, like the budget for 2023. We'll discuss maybe in the 5 months or so. So are these the right amount? And people will be able to answer them. Like these amounts were there and we never changed them. So this 2 million amount of 2 million for the arena is something that the study showed us. Do we want to look in 2023? We're doing some renovations and probably we would have to mandate a committee maintain the 2 millions next year because we have no indication. Myself and Mark. So once we get the direction from the board to see what we need, is it an arena? Is it? And we have something a line that we added. We'll have to put a number and where we need. So that's what we mentioned, like for the next 5 or 7 years because of the federal funding. But the line is there, and we need like to have a decision, like just to indicate like those two things: what is the magnitude and the time frame we want to give us. I think our discussion at the council was on the same consensus that yes, we should not only look at this, but a good part of the 2 millions was because of the dampness to a building. If it stopped being an arena, well, it won't have dampness problem. Maybe to adjust it and to look at a study for something else. Maybe at the next meeting we could have a motion to mandate the administration to go back with the with a motion on this one, and sounds good. And then we had mentioned also like talk about the marina and the subject also to give access to the citizen to water was discussed many times. So I don't know if it's so my decision like for the marina will reflect what we can do for our citizen. I don't know for the same amount or it's difficult to put an amount because we're not sure where we're going. So is it transportation or? The committee will discuss it. It's a combination of two committees, so we'll discuss the question and we're not there yet. We will go there. So before we vote on the marina project, can it be voted before the end of June? So do we have to maybe to go faster? I can I can go as fast as I want, but I don't know if we want to. I will not be ready to for marina until we get a vision where we're going, like to give access to water to our citizens. To a real maybe ramp for a small boat. It will be a discussion. Maybe some spots like that may be more better than others. How much it will cost and what permits we will not get it by the end of the month. At least at the end of the month with the agreement with the marina, if ever we can accept it, we'll be able like to specify if what we can create there, and it will be up to the council like if we want it or not. So it will be one of the tools at our disposal. It will not be the only one because we'll be looking at doing something else. But the other thing, if we're able to do so, it's another story. So I mean, nobody is an expert. So can we put like a ramp there? Not necessarily, but to know if there's a willingness of the board like to meet that need. And I think like the council showed this a willingness with last month. Anything else? I have to turn off the mics because there's too many people. Councilor Emile, just one, just a question like for line 35. The Huntington to Pomford. It shows 2022, 1.9 million. 2023, like we were doing English Street and Grand Prix Street. Is it still there? Nothing changes. It's just it's like a 3 year project. So when it comes to that project, would it be possible maybe to add the Louis Bois Street and Grand Prix Street? Like it's not part of the mandate. So if you want to add the Louis Bois, it's not part of the funding. So that was approved. So is it something that could change? So the funding is not for things. So if wanted to do it, well, it would be we would be paying for it. It would be something, but when we are building our own municipal street, we have a grid that would show what we should aim at. I understand your idea. Since you have equipment there, well, the other question on line 27, I think, is the new shed like for the tennis club. There's a number for 500,000 for 2024. Easy amount. It was budgeted. We're really looking at the 2022 more. So these are projection could change, and it's discussion we'll have to have. But we had discussion at the council. There was an interest like for a shed, and we had it there. So it would be up to the council to decide what you want in 2023, 2024. So it's an amount we have it. And I got prices like for the washroom. So we need also like to, if they decide to go to 2023, 2025, 2023, that's a number that was put there. Councillor Peter. I will go back on the Beaubridge Street and Ohio Street. If I understand well, like the amount, like the close to 3 million is complete, like the street on Ohio Street. And then you have the amounts like plus the water budget. What I don't understand, like we mentioned in 2025, we would go up to Beaubridge Street. Not Beaubridge, but Bellevue Street. But since people would go by through Main Street, we would have like to repair 1.7 millions. But we know like to open the section on Ohio Street, it's very important, and we'll have a lot of pressure, especially with the West to invest 1.7 million to repair like the street, Town Main Street, because we did not finish. I think the money is not at the right spot. It was always the plan. It was identified like in the master plan to add infrastructure for sidewalks, for active transportation. So it was kind of part of the master plan. So I saw it from Marco's plan. So that's something, that's how to identify it. However, if you want to change or maybe put the deadline a little bit closer with Beaubridge Street, I have no problems there to invest money on the street, except like the main street since for several years to open the Bellevue up to the Ohio Street. So we have like a thousand apartments. So we're talking maybe like we go like from 5,000 to 7,000. It will become even more important, like to do the street as soon as possible. So I think we should invest money as soon as possible to open the street. So from 3 to 2. So I think if we do like on 3 phases, so we'd have a lot of traffic on Bellevue Street. So unless we do it again, so if we want to go to have it done sooner, do it sooner than later. I think it's really important, not only for this, but for economic development and to free people from the town because this year with the closure of a few streets, so people do not forget because all the small streets that will be between Main and Beaubridge Street, people they will use it. So they will go to Monique Street, La Forêt, other street. So we have to do them, but so I can keep this option, right? Councillor Sylvie, Janice, and Paul. Yes, just to add to what Peter said, and we need to have one street and they develop like the small street because there are there's other option to go down. I really appreciate the yes to have one street parallel to Main Street. To do some patching on Casey Street, I mean, and Harper Street, and 79, but there's no amount. So, and the reason there's no amount, we do not want to forget about it, but maybe it's not as urgent because we nothing to do. It's only like the park just to widen the street, the easement and all that. There's some infrastructure to change, so there would be some infrastructure to change if you want to add it with the project, downtown project. So if it's a priority, well, the council would like to see. We can put a number, and I would like to see a number. Maybe I'll be biased because I'm living in that area, but regardless, like, I think it's for safety. So we will unblock like the Bow Bridge doing a 60 people will want to use the street to go maybe up to Main Street or Co-op or IGA. There's a lot of traffic. Seem to be like a traffic jam. It's not often like we go to IGA. I don't know what that little street like the Donut Street. So that's it. Not often like with not two or three cars coming. So and they take Casey up to at least Harper. So I don't know. I don't know what is the wishes of the other one, but unless it would be that costly because it's a very short street. I know. Looking at the two of them, I don't know, like maybe like 5, 6. Mark, we just want them to become Santa Claus. It's more than what people will accept. So I'm not maybe it's not 2020, maybe it's 2024, but it would be nice to have a number and do what we did. Yes, there's a number there. We will move it. I think it will be more reassuring to see that. I appreciate. Thank you very much. Councillor Janice, the Active Transportation Committee. Who sits on this committee? Councillor Paul, Councillor Sylvie, and Philippe Savoie-Bienot is a citizen. So I just want to mention that. So when you have meeting, really to look at the vision of the Shediac Marina, because at first, like the project started, with the intent of adding a section of the town, and it took the project had more magnitude to have like the road, and so the project just had the magnitude just to improve like a design, because it's right close to the water. They can people can walk, and there's a park also use. There's a lot of option for this area. So I would like for you, like when you're looking, to take into consideration. I know it's a lot of money, but I think some work can be done, and maybe some things could be done maybe for the following years. And I think the goal of the project is to build the street. And I think these are things that were discussed at the council since the last storm. I think it was an intention before, like to do something nicer there. So the intent is to have access for canoe and kayaks. But since then, so we had individuals like we need more access like for motorboats, and so it brought like a new magnitude to the project. And we should not forget like there's a ramp there, and also not to forget like there's probably possibilities with more parking. Maybe the town could offer some things to the citizens, maybe for to put their boat into the water. Yes, I mentioned like the liability insurance because of the region, but liability insurance it's really not, it's not really expensive. $20-$30. It's not something like these are not expensive to think. I just want for you to have the open mind, like to look what we can bring to a committee. But the goal was to a place where we could put the canoes and kayak like in the water, and have several sections here. So that's where, because that's where the project started. But I will still respect your decision and your discussion. I just wanted to keep an open mind and do not forget how we could do the things. Thank you. Councillor Paul, then Councillor Emile. Yes, thank you, Janice. This committee will submit a report. Northern Design, so it would include that too. So they would assess this, and they will have access for the Shediac region, and it will be. It was also like the funding also. What's the difference with the grant provincial gas tax? 3 million like over the next 5-6 years. So is it what you're forecasting, like 500,000 like for gas tax to be for those 430,000. 430,000. 480 in that. It's every 4 years, so 2023. So the next will be from 2025 to 2027, and it depends on the population. So we're talking about 7-10,000. If it's per capita, well, this amount should increase. So I think we will hit. So they're taking like the last census, so that's what they're using. Yeah, it's time to make babies. Mark is doing his share. What is those programs like for? These are designated roads, so it reflects like the provincial contribution. So I look at the column 1.5 million. So we know like we had confirmation for 2024, like a part of Main Street will be taken care of the province. So and an amount of money was already established. It was mentioned like a couple of weeks ago. So especially like the paving curve, not for the sidewalks, but everything like between the house and sidewalk. So with the project, The west section, well, Main Street, so it should be done, right? So my concern will have less money from the province. There's still like a Main Street from the Catholic Church up to the west extremity. So it's a 5 year plan. Like that's something we present. Thank you, Lynn. So we'll find some spaces. There's no end to it. So several years we'll have zero. So we got some money for 2024. It's not in 2022 and 2025. So prior to that, we had one for Ohio. It was before your time. So then we had it. We had for downtown Mill and Pave 2018. Sometime we have, some we don't. When the executive director, like the general manager of the province, will take care of it, well, they will contribute. It costs way more. And in 2023, like, so the reform is coming up. So there will be many lines that will be added. So that's why we have to be careful with. Not 2020, not for roads, no. No, not for roads. I don't know where it would go, but so there will be a whole bunch of requests. So we'll have to react. We'll have to do something if we have a playground so good, things like that. Yes, this thing we'll be able to do. So how the budget will work for the new entities? Well, no impact for the town. So we'll have some culverts and we'll learn how to work together, collaborate together, and we'll do like we'll be for the well-being of our all our communities. They're doing outside classes outside, not in February, but Councillor may last on this point. Then we'll go like to the next item. Yes, is making good comments. For the marina, we're talking about canoes and kayaks. I'm looking like the Brown Street, and it's all the property of the town marina. Wouldn't it be a good place like to have like maybe a ramp, like a boat ramp, or we're going to the bay instead of going to the river, but you put floating dogs and. So the longer it is, the more the more it costs. So it thinks like the two committees will be able to look at it. It's time to think outside the box. But the town owns a lot of streets, so I think it would make sense. Several options available. We know where the littoral is. Thank you very much. Thanks for the discussion. So we're going. So no, I want to stay overnight, as you were saying here. Various requests for financial aid. Do you want to look at and come back with some recommendation for decision piece? Because you asked mandated the administration to bring all those requests to June. We're in June, so we bring them to you. If you want to wait, maybe at a meeting next week, at the regular meeting, you will have the opportunity like to look at the various requests we got over the last year, so you can come up with a recommendation. Is to make comments or questions, or I look a few of them. A few addiction treatment recovery is not open yet, so they're still in construction. I would only be ready to give something once they start to welcome people. To help someone, we don't know if it opens. So this one I'll have a problem. I would I would wait until they once they start seeing patients, then we have people in the community, then we see that we can support. We could invite maybe to come back to the budget discussion in October. So I would put it aside. For the Moncton Hospital, when we do donations like Georges Dumas, so we have to make a donation to the Moncton Hospital. Yes, yeah, we already do. We did some sporadically, so did not ask every year. So we say we'll give X amount per year and then just include it in the budget. So they will say they will be saving a step. So maybe to discussion like for the where it's at. Is it still going forward? Mid Road in Chidiac, we could look at that. The thing I'm not sure what it was for, but was Dialogue and B. We contributed, I think, 2 years ago with Dialogue and B. Nadine Duguay. I don't remember if we. I think we gave maybe $500 2-3 years ago. Over the last couple of years, we did not contribute. So I think it was 3 years ago. Yes. We'll go back with the contributions we made. Councillor Patricia, thank you. Maybe just a question for how much money do we have in that budget for the discretionary fund? I think we had the 330,000, but some amounts we took. So I was wondering how much we have left. It's a discretionary project. Just to have an overview to look at the requests up to Monday. So 290,000 left. So we have amounts like that's already committed. No, we kept it for and January you'll be 13. So we'll have to look for the council chamber. So we're talking easily to 75,000. We thought we'd get some provincial grant. They confirmed like they didn't have any money for that. So this amount will be important, like to set it aside. Because these are mics and these antiques and yeah, so an iPad is to add 4 extra, so because that one was new, so these are other things and so they're still good for a while. So I was just wondering, like it was more like LGR project. I was looking for the next meeting, the 219 really 190,000. So that we should keep for audio AV equipment. Councillor Paul, for Ocean View, it's the first paragraph. It's one of the lines, like principle be teaching of Jesus. And when I see things like that, I don't know if it's the role of the town, like to grant the principle based on teaching of Jesus. The groups here, like a Naomi, shouldn't. Are they recognized by the province, or are they recognized by the province? I know Patricia also. So this the question is it private or Naomi and so these are the questions I don't know. Before we give money from the citizen based on the principle of Jesus, I don't know. Off mic.
Shelter, the Harvest House. Harvest House, c'est à base de religieux.
Yeah, Harvest House is religious based. So what they're doing real good to the community. The House of Nazareth. It's just for the staff qualification if they're recognized by yes, so the provincial level. Thank you. Number 5. Follow up on various community garden and the Jubilee Park. Got an information concern and Mark will be able to get some more specifications. So I sent an email at the end of the day today. And Mark in this report, following some recommendation from the Department of Environment, Jubilee Park is in Zone A. It's a protected area. And we got some reservation on the implementation of the community garden. Like the person who submitted the report, gave a recommendation, will be here next Monday. So she will present all so we have to register those zone, obviously. And it's quite a process with zone A, which is very limited on what you can do. And less permissive and even less like it's really like a very, very well controlled. So and I just saw the interpretation of community garden. It's type of activity we're not allowed in zone A. I don't know, Mark, if you have. No, it's really just this. So that's a question. So I send the document. Prepare like for the community garden to explain what they were looking for. I think that there was a question in the past. It's not an activity that is allowed in this type of zone. Could it be allowed under some restriction? We're talking B or C, but it's all question you can ask them maybe next week to Mrs. Sarah Arnold. But we have those registered those on officially. We're talking also like for the turbine, the municipality. Mr. Bertin, when we're so used for community garden, so municipal garage, the land is quite big. At the back, there's a lot of land there, isn't it? Is it point half an acre? We have some land for future expansion. Some citizen like brought this. It might be a good spot. Like if there were some space, they look directly out front, so it was big and. So depending, like it was offered, but there seems to be a little hill at the back. So I don't know. It's only comments I received, so might be an ideal spot. Councillor Paul has a question also for Peter. Plan B, C, I don't know where they're at. It doesn't work. They'll have to move like all their structures. They won't have any more time, so what I would suggest maybe to do at this stage, in order to make sure like we have no kickback, I think the administration should contact the garden itself to ask what are the fertilizers they're using, what they use. I know that they're very ecological, but I don't know what they use. So, and if we had the list, we use maybe this and this, like compost fertilizers and all that, to give this list to Mrs. And then she would be in a position to say, with this, well, definitely it's impossible to get the garden there, and then because you're only using organic stuff, it's possible. I think we need like to get this answer, because even if we say no to the Jubilee Park, some people come back, but under some restriction we can do it. But I think if we had this information, well, like the lady could say, well, yes, it's possible to do it with those type of fertilizer, or no, it's not possible. So with the Jubilee Park would be a close case. I think we do not do this exercise, but because we know like the 3D concept came in the media, and people like the idea, and I think we really have to have something concrete, and because you're using this type of fertilizer, it's not possible. Or if you're only using those fertilizer, like the 27 year, it's a possibility. So I think her lady, she could certainly answer that question. I think it was also the intent for the committee to meet. It was referred like to the park committee.
Merci, Monsieur Peter.
Thanks, Councillor Peter.
Conseiller Jeunesse.
Councillor Janice, unfortunately, I do not agree we continue with the Jubilee Park since we had some recommendation that the section is not good, and also to to start like to manage what they're using or not. We know pesticides how it is like. I wouldn't want like for us to get into something like the town that we have to monitor or manage. So I think we are we're kind of planting seeds for just to have something in June. I completely agree. We need to have a community garden, but I think we need to take time and really position the community garden so it's there long term, where it makes sense for the community, where it makes sense also for the community garden. And I think right now we're doing to sketch. You put it on Facebook, and so what do we do? Like it's only stir after stir. Just take the time and do something properly. Maybe unfortunately, it has to be accepted. So this year they want Benny Community Garden. It's too late. Think about it. Do something right. We want a community garden. Do it right. Just put it at the park just to say it's there. It's a spot, and it will be nice. I do not agree. I think we're wasting our time to continue with this. I think community garden should know that this year it will not work. We will help them. We will put something, and we will try. We'll take this year to find a good spot that makes sense. Right now, I think we're just looking at throwing place because we're kind of paying for it.
Décision
Yeah, you want a decision. I to be frustrated because taking a lot of our time, a lot of our energy, and so the lady, if she already gave a recommendation, I don't know how more she can recommend. It's on paper, so I don't. I just find it's my opinion. I want a community garden, but I think we're losing a lot of time. Like, while we could maybe try to work to have a better solution long term than just shove it somewhere.
Merci, Conseiller Jeunesse.
Thanks, Councillor Jenny. Yeah,
Parfait.
perfect.
Monsieur Maspéon.
Mr. Deputy for Jubilee Park, people will live in the area. They're a lot interested to have the garden there. They knew what it is like. So those who want to, those little sheds, it's not what we see on the picture. It will not always well maintained, and they do not want this there. So because they walk along the street, so and I go through and stuff, we do not want it this there. So it will not be the right spot for it. So a park is a park, and I think they should. The community garden, I know it's very good, and we need to have some, but there is some spot like I don't know what they only want to be like a downtown Shediac. We have land Ohio Street, some going to Parley Beach, and we have. It's not that far. People could bike there. I think we should use our public parks. When we want to expand, it was mentioned like we needed some space like to add to our parks. I would not be in favor to have it in our town. So I don't think it's a spot. And a lot of people mention it to me. Several people, they do not want it in their park, right in downtown center. What I can mention, well, what the province is telling us, they did not allow the community garden in zone A. They allowed in zone B and C. So this is zone A.
Ben, 80 pieds,
It's 80 feet.
100 pieds du puits, puis ça reste ça.
80, you would certainly be like in zone A. So
Peut-être, c'est malheureusement pas non plus.
unfortunately, it's not the right place.
Qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire pour les aider, gars?
What can do to them? We're open, like trying to help, like the community garden. So
On va voir qu'est-ce qu'on peut faire.
we'll see what we can do.
Merci.
Thank you.
B, vente de terrain,
B.
Christian Court.
Christian Court to sell sale of land. So we mentioned also the 5-6 Christian Court. They were interested, like to purchase the land. Recommended what we recommend is to proceed with the surveying, but one surveyor, and allow the citizen that to sign with one lawyer. So these agreement is prepared by the legal advisor, and then we'll know. We would like to see with the council the intent with the surveying cost with the legal provision, and that's the way, the most functional way, just to protect the town and the council for the sales to have it's easier, so we do it, and everyone is treated equally. You always build those costs to the citizen. As for legal costs, well, our advisor will prepare the agreement. That would protect also like the town. So I would have a hard time like having the citizen pay the cost. So when it comes the time to sign the documents, well, we'll recommend a local lawyer. Yeah, I'm hoping, like you were saying, a legal lawyer, but a local lawyer. So no, so that's something we'd be able to coordinate. So before we send the letter to the citizen, we wanted to know, like from the council, to share the cost. I would like to get your opinion on this. To bring a resolution, because the resolution was clear, like to share this cost. We send those costs to the owner. So we recommend like the surveying cost would be paid by the owner, like, and also the signature also could be at the owner's cost. And the cost, the town will pay for the cost of the agreement preparation. Councillor Peter and Mr. Deputy Mayor, just a clarification. Gilles, just so when we notify like the people, like the cost was available, did we tell them like they would have to pay like the surveying cost? Yes, that's what the resolution, Councillor Peter was. They would pay like for 473 square feet, and the surveying costs and legal fees would be for them to pay. I don't think we should change except for the legal fees. It's just the preparation of the agreement. We're requesting them. Definitely not go against the recommendation. So because they are expecting to pay for them, will be cheaper because one will be doing for all of them. At least we were able to save some money. So legal fees and also like the surveying costs. Thank you. Yes, it was the same point I wanted to bring. Like surveying costs should be paid by the owners. I think I think all the council members. Wow, so we can get human resources like a communication officer. We will post a position this week. I also mentioned like Denis will post like the tourism officer. It's a 1-year contract for a community officer agent. Those positions should be posted this week. So share within your networks as you wish. We need people. By water bylaw. So I confirm like that. Mr. Let's by email like they operate as a with Airbnb. So if you agree, we would reduce like his water bill to 1 unit. It would allow not to open like the bylaw. We could still look at like the bylaw on the water distribution, but We could bring some changes and not touch on anything like this. We just wanted to have maybe next week a resolution.
C'est bien.
That is good.
Longueur d'onde.
We're on the same page.
Sur le contrôle des animaux.
Bylaw on animal control.
Ah, voilà, deuxième.
Modification. We'll go to second reading. Yes, we from Bill Grimmer, like we got other modifications, so we will look at them this week. I got them by the end of last week, so I'll look at them today. And so there's are some interesting things, so I would like to put it in my report this week. So, and we should bring it Monday. So what we want to do, you had like the rates to increase, like at the request of the board, two or three also, and it was increased considerably, like to the third and fourth, at the third. So if you agree, like we would keep it like see, and also for the number of dogs or animals, so there would discussion at the board. We had the discussion, so I think that we have a responsibility to the number of dogs a resident can have. So we're looking what's being done elsewhere. So we'll have this discussion next week with the modification proposed by Bill. I know the recommendation. They recommend exotic animals. Would like for us to add. So that's something we will mention later. In my report, that's good.
Campagne de sensibilisation.
Awareness campaign and medal sales of medals. So that's with the when we have like the bylaw in place. With the tags, we have like a pamphlet. So I send you a draft copy of what it could look like. So that's something that's being printed. And we would check who has dogs, and we try to do as much recruitment as possible, like to sell some tags. It's a good awareness campaign. We could even, we know like we not necessarily have like a lot of dogs who are not registered. You do like an amnesty thing, like register before this date, October, it costs you anything. And then if you register after, but it's you will pay some people. But encourage people, like it's just like it's not registered your 10th dog and it's free, but no, something Germaine. And I told Jay not is to hire someone once a year. That's where you see registered people will not go there. We said that the bylaw officer could do that. I know, like Dawn, the tries would do it a lot that when she was working. She would go house by house and would buy it, and it was done at home. So it's possible, like we have students that might be doing. I think would the best way to do. You know how many dogs in it. I will lend your dog. I have one dog I would like to get rid of. You could yeah, 1 week, every 2. I'm always doing a share custody of the dog. We can add someone else. Communication strategy, eco-responsible practices. I found my term. I don't know if Denis had discussion with EcoVision 2025. So I think things are going really well. So it was, and me also the contract with the EcoVision, and we will go get back to you with an amount like for special projects of the council between I think 10 and 15,000. And we will bring a resolution on the 13th. We're ready for the 13th. We'll get some fund, especially like communication tools and awareness tools. Councillor Paul, I like the strategy, but is the timing good? Did we already miss the boat so people could in 2022 like do apply the pesticides? Those who are applying pesticides at the law, it's almost done, so they will receive the town's communication in July. I don't know where Denis will launch it. Yeah, they apply back in the fall. Yeah, oh yeah, they apply back. It's twice a year, so yeah, spring and fall. I never put some, so the strategy like it's more than 1 year. So yeah, I thought we're missing the boat because I some sign no humans on. I thought yeah, we missed the spring, so we'll get the fall.
Conseiller Peter?
Councillor Peter.
Oui, par rapport à la...
Yes, concerning like the communication strategy, I was looking where I saw. I think I saw it today, like for the detailed plan for
les étapes là, par rapport à quand est-ce qu'ils vont...
so all the step. Well, they'll go, do the announcement for the fall. So that's well, we will vote, right? So you voted like to give like the mandate to Ecovision 2023, and the strategy will. So there's no vote on this. So it's what they will do. So my question is, this plan, is it something that could be given to people? Because I read it. It is really good, and to Routier Legere and whoever was, and I think that's something we can give to them. I do not see anything that would not be left to look for the maybe something we could put also on the website of the town. And if you saw the document, it's well done, and so where it says where we're going, and I think it would appease like a lot of the concern of those individuals. Not see anything, Mr. Clerk, if there's something that should not come out publicly, but. And I think it should make sure like we send copies, and if we put that on the Guide du Bois, that's something that should be done.
Il veut dire quand il va y avoir plus d'informations qui sera
They will get more information, like
bite size, là,
bite size,
synthétisé, sommaire,
summaries, and all that, so to encourage our population.
ce choix-là.
So we're looking to see what you can get, how beneficial it can be. So
Avec le même résultat,
if we can come up with the same result, well,
un gazon qui est relativement en bonne santé.
I want a healthy lawn, so
C'est bien. Vacances 2022.
holidays 2022. Usually in the summer, in July you don't have any meeting. In principle, like June 27 would be your last meeting before the summer. Every year, like we stop in July, and we only take after go back after with the finance committee. So we would put it in August. We would start with the August plenary. In this case, what we recommend is as the first regular meeting in August is the 15th. Is the Acadian date. We recommend to push the holidays until August 29th. So the next meeting after 20 would be August 29th. We would have possibility to do like some meetings in summer. That's something we would aim to do. We would cancel like the 3 meetings in August and 2 in August to prepare resolutions. So Councillor Paul would be another subject. Won't take long. Yeah, we'll bring a resolution. Perfect. So with the report, it comes from Mark, and we know like we start with West Main project and the concern. And I saw like the report, and I know Mark will discuss it on the 13th. I had concern before, like for the developer. I know they want to. Could we have a strategy like Friday, Saturday, Sunday, like what the Main Street will look like with one lane? Is there a strategy like to keep Main Street accessible for businesses and for the travel for those 3 days? So the big benefit, you will not have any construction equipment for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and certainly they will open as much as possible. But once it's dug, like they will have to keep it. The benefit, you will don't have any construction equipment, no noise during the weekend for tourists. So concerning traffic, it will not change at this point. So we will try to open the 2 lanes, and it will be excavated, and they will try to maximize the time, so it will be closer. So the perception is what we do I see people did not want to have no work, like the machines will be stopped on Friday. We get there. It is go forward on. This is my concern on this project. I know like they will be working long hours and like to work long hours and Fridays. Does it justify like it start the beginning and end date? It will accelerate the process. And we also have the experience also on the Brown Street. So they did it like on Brown Street. And once they mobilize and they do long days, they are very productive. And that's what they're doing all over those. They're doing like a long hours. So did they give dates like because there were three parts. Like the first part was like from the bridge until English Street. So that schedule is coming. That's what we have to mention to the board members and the public. Inform people, and because they work 4 days a week, they will work long hours. And as you said, like tell people that yes, it will be a sacrifice, but it will be a great project. They want to get out of there as soon as possible, so they had several options to try to accelerate the project. So they really did their homework. So I was impressed. Councillor Janice, I know like so I know some municipalities like they do some work at night. Like they have like two teams and they work like 24 hours a day. Like so the projects are getting completed quicker. Is it expensive? Yes. Like the contract was not done this way. So it would have been quite expensive because you have a 24-hour team. Yeah, it's quite expensive. Yeah, so at 8 o'clock, like there's still a lot of sun, so they can work. It's a corner street. There are not a lot of residents. It's a very busy street, we know, but we have to do one part. We did some parts already. We did all like the downtown center, so we went up to the church, and I think yes, so it's feasible. But is it difficult? Well, of course. No pain, no gain. Perfect. Well, thank you very much for your participation this evening.